Welcome to St Ives School of Painting's How-To series. Short lessons taken from our longer online courses, designed to help you build confidence and skills in drawing and painting, one focused exercise at a time.
Always do this silly little thing, which is just get a little bit of paint and just make a mark. And I always do that, even on my hugest, I tend to paint a lot of very, very, very big canvases. And I don't know, I always do it because I feel like I've started then, and then I don't feel daunted by the prospect of painting on a big blank canvas. So I can walk across my studio, pick up a canvas, and then I'll just go intentionally make a mark on it without even looking, and then come and put it down. And I feel like I've started then, and I feel like I've got that bit out of the way. So I've broken the ice. It's a silly little thing. It might not work for you guys, but I always do it. So I'm just adding a lot of white, tiny bit of Prussian blue, and a little bit of, I didn't even check to see if it was grey or black. I think it's black. Yeah, it's black. So you don't need a lot of that. You don't want a big dark background. And all this is going to do is just going to cover my board. There's nothing perfect about this. There's nothing skilled about this. It's just covering the board, and you do all sorts of different directions with your paint. Not too thick, because this is going to be built up over and over and over and over again. So, and we're going to do that as much as we possibly can today. So just cover it. Look, some bits black, doesn't matter. There's a lot of doesn't matter in my practice. It's about enjoyment. It's about stepping stones. And it's about every painting that you make, be it one that you are pleased with or not, mostly, as the case may be. It's just a stepping stone on to the next stage. So it's valuable. It's always, always valuable. So that's that. And that's that. So it just literally is. There's nothing to that whatsoever. I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. Exactly the same. Doesn't have to be the same colour. It can be a bit lighter, it can be red, it can be pink, it can be green, it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be abstract. Actually, that might be a good chance. Is it easy to pull that painting up? The one that was going to be right at the very end, where I left the ground in the background, and it had some daffodils. No, it wasn't either of those, sorry. It's like dahlias and some daffodils. With the and it's got, the background's quite rough. Oh, we'll have a look. It's not the pink and grey one. Sorry, springing things on you. It might have been the one that we were going to use as the very end. That's it. So this was a little painting that I did only a couple of weeks ago. It's actually not finished remotely, but that background that you can see there was my ground. It's what I'm doing right now. It was just a no thought background. It was just what it was. And then I just had the pot of daffodils and some dahlias. I think it was from a sketch I'd done ages ago, because the dahlias aren't out at the moment. And what I was planning to do was to enhance it and cut in around all of the leaves and the buds and things. And I really liked it as it was. And so I've completely left it, and it really isn't a finished painting, but it just looks quite sweet. I might go back to it, and I might do something more, because it certainly wouldn't be a finished painting usually, but I really like the background and I didn't want to go over it. I just felt that it represented the stormy January day that we were having, and I liked it. So thank you. Right, so there are my grounds. That's it. So what I'm going to do next is show you how I would do my black line work. So I always start my paintings with, so these are wet at the moment, and I'm going to be wet on wet. So I'm just going to do my line back on top of this wet. And then when they've dried slightly, then I'll start filling in and colouring in and cutting in rather, not colouring in. Yeah, so either a black or a grey. I find a grey is a little bit more sympathetic. Sometimes I don't want big, thick black lines. You can mix. You could do a blue and a red and have almost like a more browny colour line. And then I've just got a small, oh, there we go, a small brush. You could even use a bigger brush if you wanted to. In fact, I might get slightly more definite lines with a thicker brush. And then take a little bit of the black. Now, a lot of people say to me, how long does it take you to make a painting? It really varies, really, really varies. We'll have something that resembles a painting by the time we finish here at 6 o'clock. I would go back, and we'll talk about this at the end, where I would go from where we finish at 6 o'clock. But the actual making of a painting takes me very little time. I might be months thinking about something. I might be collecting ideas. I might be sketching. I might be doing other things. But to actually, you'll see now how quickly I work. And I've read about that a lot with Hamada Shoji, who's one of the studio potters from the Leech. He had this fabulous quote. He was quoted saying, somebody said, how long does it take to glaze a pot or to do the glaze on a pot? And he said it takes 15 seconds and 60 years. 15 seconds to do the but 60 years in practice. And, you know, if I think about it, I'm quick. I'm a quick person in everything I do. But actually, I'm very instinctive. So I feel like I've got to feel it when I'm painting it. So I don't kind of hang around really. So I'm going to look at my still life composition. But to be honest with you, I won't be painting the flowers where the flowers are. I won't be looking at the leaves. I won't be looking at the leaf colour. You might, and your work will look wonderful because of that. I don't do that. I know what tulips look like. I know what the pot looks like. I know what a bowl of figs look like. And for me, I would inhibit myself if I were to be constantly stopping and looking. It's not the style that I work in. So I will literally not look at that anymore now, probably. So you can leave it if you want, but I won't need it anymore. There's more to say about that, but I'll probably come back to that in a minute. And same when I paint landscapes. So if I paint a landscape, I will never, well, occasionally I'll paint or draw when I'm out and about, but most of the time I'll just be out running on the coastal path or walking the dog on the beach. I've lived here all my life. I know everywhere like the back of my hand. And when I go home, I will just, I will instinctively paint, or to my studio, I will instinctively paint. It might look a bit psychedelic for some people. In fact, is that painting there of the landscape? It's the colour landscape. Actually, that wasn't the one I was thinking of. I'll do the other one in a minute, but this was just literally line. This was a walk I did from Senan to Gwemba on New Year's Day a couple of years ago. And this is a 2 metre canvas by 1.5 meters. And I just did all the black lines in about 30 seconds. And then I filled in a little bit, and I thought, and that was just literally the first 5 minutes of the painting. And then I thought, I actually really like it. For me, that gives more energy. So I left it, and I've never done anything more with it ever since. And it's hanging up in my kitchen. And the other one, there's another landscape there, not the black and white one. It's one with it's sort of almost a bit abstract. I thought I wouldn't remember to use these, and actually it's got like pinky sky. We had this period of really, really pinky sky about a year ago. I can't remember what time of year it was. And this, somebody said it looked like I'd been taking drugs when I painted this. So I hadn't. And it was, have you got it? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, come back to it in a minute. And it's just, it was my memory of that place the day that I'd been there. So all I'm telling you that for is just because it's good. I think it's good to paint from memory. A lot of the time, you know, all the experiences everybody's had in their lives. come to making any painting. So there we go. Right, okay, let's get started. So
I have actually found it.
you found it, okay. No.
This one.
I think I've said everything I was going to say. Yeah, so it's just it's actually Travail. In fact, I was there yesterday, Travail Cove, which is over near Zena. If any of you have been down to Cornwall, which is further west than St Ives, and it's just this beautiful valley that goes to right to the cliffs and to the sea. And we had this beautiful pink sunsets, or sort of late afternoon skies, and that was so that's a really large painting, but it was very much what was in my mind and how I felt when I came back from that painting. I think I took photographs and did some sketches when I came back, and then I went into the studio on the Monday, and again, it might not appeal to many of you, but I know how I felt when I painted that painting. Thank you. Right, let's get on with this. Get anything done. What's the time? All right, fine. Okay. So often I start a lot of my paintings with this sort of like mock kind of like tabletop, which I suppose is a bit representative of my island in my kitchen. And then from that, I always put the, in fact, Terry Wybrow asked me this, why do you always put your flowers over to the left? I think it's because they are on the left in my kitchen. As still life painters go, we couldn't have been more different. If you ever look at his work, it was actually mathematically kind of like orchestrated, beautiful. I love his work so much, but so accurate. And mine is literally the polar opposite. So, okay, and then so I'll put some kind of a pot. I'll let you know that I'm not enjoying using this brush at the moment. It's a bit clunky, but it's fine. Nothing's really going to matter because it's all going to be cut in a minute anyway. Now, it's about the relationship between this pot here and where I'm going to put the bowl of fruit in a minute. But before I do that, I'm going to put some tulips in this pot. So, in fact, I am going to change this brush. So it's just not playing ball with me. I don't like the feel of it. And it's my own brush. I've got nobody to blame but myself.
Have you got enough there?
Yeah, I'm fine. This one's better. So the reason why I didn't like that was because it's just a bit, the end of it's a bit thick. And this if you can see it, the end of this brush is just, the bristles of the brush are much more together. So for me, it's easier. Again, it's very personal, very personal. Some people will like round tip brushes and pointed brushes, but not me. So, right, so this is purely how I feel and where I want these to be. Okay, now we're not going to have black stems in a minute because this is all going to be coloured in and painted, and then from this, it's a very crude interpretation of what I'm seeing. And like I say, this is where I really enjoy the flowers being sort of slightly dead actually, because I just want something more here. I'm going to have something because in a minute this space is going to be empty, and I'm going to want, and this is then leading me to where I might want this bowl. So literally that tulip that's going to be here is going to lead me straight into where my bowl is going to be here. There's nothing technical going on in my mind, by the way. It's just how I feel I want to position it. And then I have to make the decision as to whether I want to have a flat bowl like this, or whether I want to enclose my bowl. So I could do a bowl that's around like that. Alternatively, it could be a plate. It could be a large bowl. It could be cups. I could put a cup here. I could put another cup up here. I could have put another cup here. That for me would feel quite nice. I can't really explain it any more than that. It's just how I feel, where I think it looks nice, and what I think will look nice and pleasing to the eye once I finish it. And you can see, as I'm painting, look, I've made mistakes here. It's not a perfect science, and I'm not beating myself up about that because I know in a minute I'll be able to rescue it. And then I'm not very happy about this big space here. So I'm just going to put like what would be the equivalent of like one of the leaves there, like that. And for me, I quite like that. It's going to change a lot as I work on it, but that'll be the basis. And then we have always the fallen petals, because that represents my crazy world that I live in. And then we've got the figs. So again, always one out of the bowl for me. That's a bit of a big fig, make that a bit smaller. But again, it's not going to matter. None of this is going to matter because we're going to be colouring all of this in. And usually if I ever do fruit in the bowl, if it doesn't go right first time, it normally has to be all rubbed out. So I normally do this kind of, it's a very instinctive thing, that's fine. Go like that, and then we make it slightly pointy, but we can do some kind of more detail in a bit. So that, by no means, to anybody, looks like a masterpiece, but that will be how I would start any of my paintings. I would say that is probably as rough and ready as they come, but you'll see how we can work with this in a minute and make something quite different. So I'm going to pass that one over.
Want more tips, tricks and inspiration? Each of the short lessons are taken from one of our full courses in our extensive online library. We have over 100 courses available for you to watch on demand. Visit our website to find out more and hit subscribe for more creative inspiration.